सर तो ग्रुप में आप दो ना मतलब जो लोग आ रहे हैं अगर
सबको पता है मैंने सुबह रिक्वेस्ट भी किया था हमारे
Good afternoon, all, for the afternoon session of Associates presentations for the month of May 2023. I welcome all on behalf of the Indian Institute of Advanced Study for this afternoon session. Today, we are having with us Mr. Rony George, who is the Assistant Professor, Department of English, KE College, Kottayam, Kerala. He has done his MA in English, then MPhil, and along with that, he has also done MBA in HR. His research area is Indian English literature. Earlier, he has worked as employment officer in National Employment Services and as the district mission coordinator, a renowned women empowerment initiative highly appreciated by both United Nations and the World Bank. He is also a success coach, career consultant, and civil services coaching faculty. Till now, more than 50 students have achieved success in various All India services under his guidance, such as IAS, IPS, IRS, and IES. Today, we are very fortunate to have him among us as the speaker. Today, he is going to speak about emergence of India as a nation with special reference to English literature. Now, when we talk about the modern Indian nation, English language plays a very peculiar role over here. Though we have the concept of Rashtra right from the ancient period, when we come to the modern era, people were divided on the lines of religion, caste, language, region, etc. And when the Britishers came over here, the primary identity of Indians was not as Indian. They were divided among themselves. And that was one reason why Britishers could take over the political control. But when the Britishers introduced English language, a paradoxical thing happened. After the introduction of English language, people from various parts of India, they could come together and they could talk to each other in a common language. Before, they were, say, for example, Tamil, Bengali, Punjabi, Marathi, but English gave them a common platform. And when they started talking to each other, they realized that their common enemy is one, and that is British. And then that is how English language played a paradoxical role in the development of modern Indian nation. So today, sir is going to talk more about that. He is going to focus on the emergence of Indian nation with special reference to English literature. The concept of nation emerges through language and narration. Homi Bhabha has written one book, that is Nation and Narration, and that he focuses how the stories that we tell about ourselves, about our heritage, about each other, it plays a very important role in the development of nation. So I would like to invite Mr. Rony George to enlighten us about the role of English literature in the development of Indian nation. Over to you, sir.
Somebody starts saying.
Champaklal, sir.
Is it on? On, Nana? Most respected fellow, Professor Champaklal, sir, dear fellow associates of IIAS, and my esteemed chairperson for this session, Dr. Manisha Patil ji. It is indeed my pleasure, joy, and pride to be here as a presenter at this prestigious institute of IIAS. And yesterday, when I was going for some testimony or some example to highlight my topic of the emergence of a nation with some special reference to literature, one classic example that struck me last night, maybe because of rain, was this group only. We are 16. We came from different states. We do represent different languages, different cultures, different traditions. We are more different than we are united. So despite that fact that we are more divided, more disunited than united, we have been here for 1 month. This has been what is happening to our country for the last so many years. One of the greatest things about India as a nation is that when so many other countries who have plunged from democracy to military dictatorship or other forms of government over the last many years, one of the greatest things, one of the greatest victories, successes for India is that India still remains a democratic country. So despite maybe 2 or 2.5 years of internal emergency under Mrs. Gandhi, India has been, is, and will be a democratic country, hopefully. And today it is the largest democratic country of the world and one of the most powerful countries of the world. But even now, when we think about Indian democracy, one of the things that the British historians, historiographers, even many of the writers who stood for colonialism, pro-colonialism, what they argue is that one of the greatest contributions of the British in India was the emergence of India as a nation. Even now, there are a number of British men who argued that it is just because of the British that today we are a nation. There was a beautiful debate in the Oxford University in 2014. At the beginning of the debate, when it was put to vote, it was 35-28 in favor of colonialism. So everybody was saying that it was because of the British that today India is a country. India is a strong country, or India has emerged as a country. Then Dr. Shashi Tharoor, and 6 others joined that debate. At the end of Shashi Tharoor's wonderful speech, again there was a vote. This time the vote was 45 voted in favor of the fact that India voted in favor of anti-colonialism, which meant that despite the British, I repeat the word, despite the British, even today India is a nation. Dr. Tharoor, I even now remember that beautiful speech which is which was been viral, which is still viral in YouTube. One of the words he says is that the British Empire never sets. The sun never sets on the British Empire just because even God doesn't trust the British man. So even the British people were laughing. And Tharoor made that beautiful comment on British colonialism. And he says that racialism and violence, they were the hallmark of the British rule in India. His main argument was that had it not for the British, India today would have been the major industrial power of the world. Whenever the political leaders of the country, whenever the rulers of the country They make the cause for India being a superpower in 2030 or 2040. He often made fun of that in the Indian parliament, saying that India also would be a super poor country. Because even now, with the 130 or 140 crores of people, more than 30 crores of Indians live below poverty line. So with this small briefing, let me go to my paper. I hope it is clear to you. The present paper intends to make a brief foray into the much discussed and hotly debated topic of the emergence of India as a nation, with certain specific insights and special references from the realms of the world of English literature. The concept of the nation is one of the most powerful and ubiquitous organizing principles of our time. As the language of nationalism fuels crisis, so the concept of nation emerges through language. The nation comes to life in text other than those which are ostensibly nationalist. It is sustained in the discourses of gender and sexuality, in discussions of economics and ecology, in the language of everyday and of theory. So the argument is that not only in political science, not only in history, even in discourses other than these disciplines, we have got the concept of nationalism, the concept of a nation. So the present paper tries to explore how the idea of nation circulates and regenerates itself through a wide variety of literary text. The question of what is Indianness is to be decided at the very outset of the present discussion. I'm sure we have very good historians out here. People like Dr. Ghosh, then my good friend Dr. Sandosh. So I am sure that they could come up with the better definitions of Indianness. Is it? So I don't mind even if you speak in between my presentation, no issues. You are free to do that. So Indianness is a concept that is much discussed. Are all Indians really Indians? What exactly is the concept of Indianness? After all this big talk, great lectures, wonderful oratorial, big bashes, how Indian are we really? Is India a nation in the real concept of a nation? So whenever that question is being raised, what I have to tell you is Indianness is not the pride of any single civilization. This is where a lot of argument. It's not the pride of any single civilization. On the other hand, it signifies a concept that encapsulates a lot of space with a plethora of languages, different groups, and various cultures. And that is how a man from South India, from a non-Hindi state, has been able to live with you people for the last 1 month. And I'm so happy that you have been so good to me over the last 1 month. So this shows that this is Indianness. More than saying anything, this is Indianness. Okay. Dr. Shashi Tharoor used the beautiful metaphor of a large thali. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that word. Thali means a large dish. Yeah, maybe it's in North India as well. It's very peculiar to Tamil Nadu with so many dishes. So Tharoor called the Indianness as a large thali with a variety of sumptuous dishes to depict the plurality of India as a country with its vast array of customs, religions, languages, and traditions. And Indianness is, of course, like the proverbial elephant. Again, you might have heard of that metaphor. Experienced by half a dozen blind seekers. You heard the story of people going and feeling an elephant. What is that? All of them are blind. One feeling its tail and describing it as a rope. Another passing hand on its flank and describing it as a mountain. And yet another hugging one of its legs and taking it as a pillar. That is exactly what India is for we people. We take India as what we want it to be. For us, India is in our requirements. So yesterday, when some of maybe one fellow here, I don't remember who exactly is that, he was commenting on the importance of fundamental duties. Actually, it took us so many years, maybe 1971, I think. This is Gandhi only introduced fundamental duties. So even the constitution makers did not care or did not make it a prerogative to incorporate fundamental duties into the Constitution of India. If you look at the US, one of the main things that govern the polity or constitution is duties. I still remember that beautiful speech made by John F. Kennedy in his inaugural speech. Ask not what a country can, what America can do for you. Ask not what America can do for you, but what you can do for your country. It is something which is still echoing beautifully for all of us. How many Indians can proudly say that I have done my duties for India and I am not bothered about the rights? Okay, fine. I continue. So the underlying truth is that the elephant has certain specific characteristics which are different from that of a monkey or a tiger. If everybody is like an elephant, if everybody is like a monkey, if everybody is like a tiger, what is the point of being an elephant? The underlying beauty of all of us is that we are all similar. If all the people sitting out here look like our great actor Chambaklal sir, what is the beauty of this audience? We are all different. We are all diverse. We look different in terms of language, in terms of culture, in terms of traditions, in terms of everything we do. We are so different. So that is the beauty of being an Indian. If and only this concept sinks deep into our soul, sinks deep into our minds, sinks deep into our underlying consciousness, then only we can say that I am an Indian, I am a proud Indian. Again, I continue. Likewise, India too has her different but specific characteristics that will definitely find its echoes in various shades in Indian literature. Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore rightly said, the inmost creed of India is to find one in the many, unity in diversity. The concept of India as a single nation has existed in the consciousness of the Indian people for 2000 years or more. This is where the conviction between what the European historiographers argue and what we now argue. It is seen in ancient religious texts. For example, in Parashara's description of Bharata to Maitreya in the Vishnu Purana. It is even earlier in the Mahabharata. Is a chairperson's expert area. In the 9th chapter of Bhishma Parva, we also found this consciousness in Buddhist and Jaina literature. Therefore, when Tagore spoke in what had become the national anthem of India, of Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha, Dravid, Utkal, Banga, he was not introducing a new consciousness, but merely expressing and reiterating one which had long existed. I repeat, Tagore was expressing and reiterating the national consciousness which had long existed, not something which he had created new for the sake of a song or anthem. This essence of consciousness of unity and diversity has always been the crux of Indianness. National consciousness was present in India in the ancient and medieval periods. National consciousness was present in India. This essence of consciousness of unity and diversity has always been the crux of Indianness. I quote Ernest Renan. Getting its history wrong is part of being a nation. I'm sure Santosh sir might be knowing it better. Getting its history wrong is part of being a nation. So history is often not right. We did commit many historical wrongs. There are many contradictions, paradoxes, so many ironies in history. That is part of historical growth. And Dr. Renan was one of the early political thinkers to have pondered seriously over the vexatious question of nationalism in modern times. The ideological moorings are often more important than physical or military means for the construction of a nation. Very important. The ideological moorings are often more important than physical or military means for the construction of a nation. This fact has been proved time and again in modern times. The failure of some of the modern democratic nations is a clear testimony of this fact. Look at our own neighboring country of Pakistan. When India got partitioned in 1947, it was on the basis of religion. India was, has been, and is a secular country. That is how it was envisaged it to be by the constitution makers. No government can change it. No ruler can change it. That is the beauty of India. But when you look at Pakistan, the country of Pakistan was formed on the basis of religion. But when Bangladesh was formed from Pakistan, that theory got broken. That theory was proved to be a failure. That theory would have been a success if Pakistan, if there was no Bangladesh today, or if Pakistan had or is today a good power, a strong power. But as you know, maybe you might be familiar with that, Pakistan is suffering very badly in terms of finance, maybe a very weak economic power now, commercially, financially, economically, even militarily, it has become weaker and weaker over the years. It has just become a stooge of the Americans. So it has failed to uphold its sovereignty, integrity, the spirit of democracy. And most of the rulers that have ruled Pakistan over the years are not democratic leaders elected in election, but rather military dictators. Even now, I remember that historical incident of the then Pakistan Prime Minister Izzat Bhutto choosing Zia-ul Haq as his military general. Actually, Zia-ul Haq was chosen as a military general bypassing, sir might have told him, known it better. It may be 10 or 12 people at that time. The same Zia-ul Haq became a conspirator, a military dictator, and he hanged the democratically elected Izzat Bhutto when he was in power. The same Izzat Bhutto earlier on ditched Liaquat Ali Khan. So this story kept on repeating and repeating in India. Look at India. How many military leaders have been in power in India since Pandit Nehru till Modi ji? Nobody. We just had 2.5 years of internal emergency, which might be looked upon as an aberration, not a regular phenomenon. Aberrations are a regular occurrence in any democracy. So I continue. Those countries that were set up purely on the basis of military might or on the basis of religion often failed to fructify the expectations of a modern democracy. A typical example is our own neighboring state of Pakistan and some of the sub-Saharan African countries. When you look at the sub-Saharan African countries, most of the sub-Saharan African countries became free along with India, maybe slightly later than that, 50s, 60s and all that. But if you look at Sudan or Somalia or Mozambique or any of the African countries of that class, they were reeling in poverty. They were reeling in poverty. The democratically elected leaders were literally looting, literally exploiting those countries to the brim over the last many years. So despite the fact that many of the African countries were rich in, endowed with the natural resources, they were still very poor. Africa still had one of the least GDPs in modern times. See the contradiction? Naturally very resourceful, but economically very weak. Okay, I continue. Literature plays a vital role in the construction of a modern nation. Indian English literature is perhaps the only one among the many literatures in India whose history and genealogy cannot be traced to the pre-colonial world. That is not something very interesting for you people, so I am skipping it very fast. The first specimen of Indian English literature was a piece of travel writing published in 2 volumes by Dean Mohammed from Ireland in 1794, entitled The Travels of Dean Mohammed, a native of Patna in Bengal. That time Patna was part of Bengal, through several parts of India, while in the service of the Honorable the East India Company, written by himself in a series of letters to a friend. This was the name of a book, which comes to almost 3-4 lines. This was the first travelogue or a travel writing, which happened to be the beginning of Indian English literature in our times. The honor of Indian literature, with her various avatars of Anglo-Indian literature, Indo-Anglo literature, Indo-English literature, Indian writing in English, and Commonwealth literature, has gone through several debates and ideological questions marked by the colonialist cultural projects, the emergence of a nationalist consciousness, and the introduction and expansion of the discipline of English studies. The historical construction of Indian English literature can truly be located in the late 30s or early 40s of the 20th century, in the lectures and writings of scholars like K.R. Srinivas Iyengar and C.D. Narasimha Iyer. Both are from, one is from Karnataka, other is from Tamil Nadu. Iyengar's massive historiographical work, Indian writing in English, at least Gita ma'am knows it better. So that is one of his classical work. Even today it is considered the Bible of Indian writing. Trace the origin of the honor to the early writings of Raja Ram Mohan Roy in the 19th century. Raja Ram Mohan Roy almost single-handedly brought about a renaissance in Indian thinking. He was often called the first modern man of India. And he was a man who stood for English education, not Oriental education. If English has been there in India today, one of the major reasons that influenced the British was people like Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Again, as you know, Lord Macaulay and the Minutes of 35, I'm not going into all that. So, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he paved the way for Indian literature by pleading for English education rather than Oriental education in India. Roy was followed by other writers such as Henry Derozio, Thurudat, Manmohan Ghosh, Tagore, Sri Aurobindo, Sarojini Naidu, Rajarao, Mulkrajanand, R.K. Narayan, and others. And most of them wrote as if they were contributing to the British literature. So in the beginning of Indian literature, most of them wrote as if they were contributing to the British literature. So it was often not original, not very experimental. They were trying to follow the heavily cliched, heavy words or a vocabulary of the British people as such in the writings. A nation may be either a geographical territory, a construct, or as Edward Said maintains, an imaginative geography. So a nation is what is actually what remains in our minds. How we take it, how we conceive it, how we perceive it, how we look at it. So the basic thing is our consciousness within ourselves when we think about the concept of a nation. As a nation, India is different from other nations for the conditions which went into its making were different. This is what makes India a unique country. Actually, when you look at civilizations, very few countries, maybe apart from China or Egypt or Iraq, look at all the modern democratic countries. Look at Britain, look at Japan, look at even the USA. What is their history? Maybe hardly a centuries. Even Britain, which is often called as the mother of all democracies, it has got a history dating back only to the 7th or 8th century AD. So India is a country which has got a checkered history. It has got a historical legacy which nobody can contest. This is what the main argument of people like Tharoor when they argue for the cause of India as a modern democratic country. H. Hatter is the Eurasian protagonist of D.V. Deshani's masterpiece novel, All About H. Hatter. Propelled by India's strangeness and difference, he gives a warning. Warning, I quote, warning. Improbable, you say. No, fellows, all improbable are probable in India. I repeat, all improbable are probable in India. This is a kind of exclamation or kind of argument about India by that man, that character called H. Hatter. So all improbable are probable in India. So if a Westerner or a typical Westerner or a European or an American comes to India and study about Indian democracy or India's growth as a country, he would be very much astonished. Actually, he would be shocked. And most of the West